Well, the leader of Hong Kong is fighting for her political life as 2 million protesting citizens are demanding she resign over her handling of an extradition bill, which is stoking fears of expanding China's control of the former British colony. Some experts are now arguing this upheaval in Hong Kong just validates the president's approach on tariffs and trade with China. Does our next guest agree? Let's turn to the director of the Center for Chinese Strategy at the Hudson Institute, Michael Pillsbury. Great to have you back.
Hi, Shannon.
Okay, so all kinds of things going on here. A piece on FoxNews.com by Rebecca Grant today says this: the lesson of Hong Kong, hold firm when China won't play by the rules. Trump saw that early on, hence the tariffs and trade talks. How do these protests potentially impact the trade situation?
Well, it's a question of credibility and China keeping its word. If the Chinese promise, let's say, 20 things to President Trump in the trade talks, and then they start cheating fairly quickly thereafter, we'll have to slap tariffs on, other kinds of punishment. So what they seem to be doing in Hong Kong, it's a complex situation, but they seem to be encouraging Carrie Lam at first to go ahead with this extradition law. And now they're throwing her under the bus and backing off. China's ambassador in London said yesterday, we never asked for this law. So it looks like that's not true. It looks like that they did endorse it. Two members of the Politburo said something positive about it. So we're getting into kind of murky waters here where it looks like China prefers to cheat and then back away when caught. So this is not good for the trade talks unless the president can get, and I think he can, really good enforcement mechanisms. He's been awfully tough on the Chinese, but he's also been tactful. And President Trump did not interfere in Hong Kong. They're trying to say hostile foreign forces are behind this million-person demonstration, but there's really no evidence of that. He's actually had a sort of a pleasant gesture toward Xi Jinping to not interfere, not say anything, because so much is at stake if Xi refuses to meet with President Trump next week in Japan. Then the talks are not even, there's no hope anymore.
Well, it's interesting to note that President Xi is going to North Korea before he would see the president at the G20. Today, the New York Times says this: by going to Pyongyang, Mr. Xi is injecting himself into the middle of Mr. Trump's negotiating efforts. Xi's move also risks sidelining Mr. Trump in the diplomatic undertaking that he views as one of his biggest potential legacies. So a lot of discussion that Xi would be kind of a go-between between the two in trying to restart and give new life to these talks with North Korea and the U.S.
This will be crucial to learn Friday and Saturday. Does President Xi actually help his friend, President Trump, or betray him? And we might get some hints by Friday or Saturday which way President Xi is going to play this. Our hope is he'll be positive. In theory, the U.S. and China both agree North Korea should not have nuclear weapons and they should move toward market opening and liberalization. If it goes the other way, Friday or Saturday, then the chances are that President Trump and Xi will not meet in Osaka. They won't have the kind of dinner they did in Buenos Aires, the big steak dinner for 3 hours back on December 1st, which led to these talks making some progress.
Well, what do you think of the relationship there? Because there are some who think the trade issues and other things have escalated beyond the friendship between President Xi and Trump, and that it may be just beyond those two men at this point.
No, it hasn't gone that far. They reneged. The president didn't like that. He says, we can't accept this. The president is sticking to his guns that China wants to surpass America, but it's not going to happen on my watch, he says. But we're nowhere near a kind of a Cold War #2.
Well, a lot to watch in the next few days between all these players. Michael, thank you for coming in always.
Thank you.